Hola a todos. Bienvenidos a nuestro canal, Aprende Inglés con. Hoy te traigo la increíble historia de la minifalda, una prenda que cambió el mundo de la moda. Descubre a Mary Quant, la inventora, sus desafíos y cómo esta pequeña falda conquistó el planeta. Antes de cada capítulo, repasamos el vocabulario clave para que aprendas inglés mientras disfrutas de esta historia. Pero antes de empezar, por favor dale un buen like, suscríbete y activa la campanita. Muchas gracias por tu apoyo.
Nouns. Heart.
Corazón.
Skirts.
Faldas.
Fabric.
Tela.
Scissors.
Tijeras.
Spot.
Punto.
Partner.
Socio.
Adjectives. Stubborn.
Terco. Terca.
Mischievous.
Travieso. Traviesa.
Youthful.
Juvenil.
Vibrant.
Vibrante.
Short.
Corto. Corta.
Boring.
Aburrido. Aburrida.
Verbs. Tripping.
Tropezando.
Began.
Empezó.
Realized.
Se dio cuenta.
Spread.
Se extendió.
Had opened.
Había abierto.
Broke.
Romper.
Adverbs. Although.
Aunque.
While.
Mientras.
Just.
Solo. Simplemente.
Quite.
Bastante.
Entirely.
Completamente.
Well.
Bueno.
Chapter 1. Mary Quant, a girl with bright and short ideas. In the vibrant and modern heart of London, in the 1950s, lived a young woman named Mary Quant. Mary wasn't just any girl. While other young women dreamed of elegant long dresses and conventional lives, Mary's head was full of ideas, and most of them were quite short. Mary worked in a boutique called Bazaar, which she had opened herself with her then-partner, Alexander Plunkett Green, and their friend Archie McNair. Bazaar wasn't a normal shop. It was a place full of pop music, modern decoration, and, most importantly, clothes that broke all the rules. Mary felt that the fashion of the time was boring, serious, and way too long. Young women wanted something different, something that reflected their energy and their freedom. One day, while Mary watched her friends dance and move with difficulty in their knee-length skirts, she had a revelation. Why not make the skirts shorter, she thought. Much shorter. The idea seemed as obvious as it was fun. She imagined skirts that would allow girls to run, jump, and dance without worrying about tripping over meters and meters of fabric. At first, her partners Alexander and Archie weren't entirely convinced. Alexander, with his aristocratic air, thought short skirts were, well, too short. Archie, always more pragmatic, wondered if anyone would actually buy something like that. But Mary was stubborn and had a clear vision. She knew that young people wanted something new, and she was determined to give it to them. So, with scissors in hand and a mischievous smile, Mary began to experiment. She took simple skirts and shortened them, trying different lengths until she found the perfect spot. A skirt that showed off the legs but was still practical and youthful. These first miniskirts, as she started calling them, caused a sensation in Bazaar. Young customers loved them. Finally, they could move freely and show off their style. A funny anecdote from this time is that Alexander, although initially skeptical, realized the potential of the miniskirts when he saw the number of young girls who came into bazaar just to see and buy them. The sound of the cash register convinced even the most traditional. Archie, on the other hand, was in charge of managing the growing chaos in the shop, while Mary continued to create increasingly daring designs. The word miniskirt began to spread like wildfire through London. People wondered who was responsible for this fashion revolution. And so, little by little, the name Mary Quant began to resonate strongly in the world of design. But this was just the tip of the iceberg. The real adventure of the miniskirt had just begun.
Nouns. Spark.
Chispa.
Prints.
Estampados. Huellas.
Covers.
Portadas.
Headaches.
Dolor de cabeza.
Hemlines.
Dobladillos.
Believer.
Creyente.
Adjectives. Proudly.
Orgullosamente.
Eager.
Ansioso.
Funny.
Divertido. Gracioso.
Checkered.
A cuadros.
Cheeky.
Descarado. Travieso.
Huge.
Enorme.
Verbs. Grew.
Creció.
Walked into.
Entró en.
Soared.
Se elevó. Se disparó.
Thought.
Pensó.
Frowned.
Frunció el ceño.
Brought.
Trajo.
Adverbs. Suddenly.
De repente.
Meanwhile.
Mientras tanto.
All over.
Por todas partes.
However.
Sin embargo.
Instead.
En cambio. En su lugar.
Despite.
A pesar de.
Chapter 2. The miniskirt conquers London. The popularity of the miniskirts in bazaar grew as fast as Mary's hemlines went up. Suddenly, all the young women in London wanted one. It was like a spark of freedom had been lit, and the miniskirt was the perfect outfit to show this new energy. The streets filled with young, smiling legs, proudly showing off their new buys. Mary and her team could hardly keep up. Alexander, now a total believer in the miniskirt, managed the business side with new energy. Archie continued to deal with the chaos in the shop, trying to organize orders and calm down customers eager to get their miniskirt. Mary, meanwhile, never stopped designing new styles and colors, experimenting with different fabrics and prints. One funny story from this time was when a famous model of the era walked into bazaar and fell completely in love with a checkered miniskirt. The next day, she appeared on all the magazine covers wearing it. It was free and amazing publicity. Demand soared even higher, and bazaar became a must-visit place for fashion lovers all over London. However, it wasn't all sewing and singing, literally, because bazaar always had loud music playing. Miniskirts also caused some controversy. Some more traditional parts of society thought they were inappropriate, even scandalous. Older ladies frowned when they saw them, and newspapers published articles criticizing the indecency of the new generations. Mary, far from being scared, enjoyed the controversy. For her, the miniskirt was a symbol of youth and rebellion, a way of saying, we are here, and we have our own rules. Instead of giving in to the criticism, she used it to promote her creations even more. Any publicity was good publicity, as she would say with a cheeky smile. But the growing popularity also brought new challenges. Other shops started copying her designs, sometimes with cheaper materials and lower prices. Mary quickly had to learn about copyright and the importance of protecting her creations. It wasn't easy being a young entrepreneur in such a competitive world. Also, large-scale production became a problem. Bazaar was a small boutique, and they didn't have the capacity to meet the huge demand. Mary and her partners had to look for bigger workshops and learn about the complex logistics of clothing manufacturing. They went from cutting skirts by hand to negotiating with factories and suppliers. Despite the headaches and challenges, the energy in Bazaar remained contagious. Mary, Alexander, and Archie were a dynamic and passionate team, united by their belief in the miniskirt and the power of fashion to change things. The miniskirt revolution was in full swing, and Mary Quant was ready to lead it, with sharp scissors and an even sharper mind.
Nouns. Youth.
Juventud.
Freedom.
Libertad.
Garment.
Prenda.
Interviews.
Entrevistas.
The host.
El presentador.
Wit.
Ingenio.
Adjectives. Fierce.
Feroz. Intenso.
Freer.
Más libre.
Dear.
Querida.
Main.
Principal.
Enthusiastic.
Entusiasta.
Main.
Principal.
Verbs. Echoed.
Repitió. Hizo eco.
Linked.
Vinculado.
Burst.
Estalló.
Surround.
Rodear.
Cope.
Hacer frente.
War.
Llevó.
Adverbs. Suddenly.
De repente.
Slightly.
Ligeramente.
Shamelessly.
Descaradamente.
Furthermore.
Además.
Beyond.
Más allá.
Behind.
Detrás.
Chapter 3. The Miniskirt Goes Global. With London at its feet, or rather, showing its bare knees, the miniskirt wasn't going to stay put. Photographs of models wearing Mary Quant's designs on the vibrant streets of Carnaby Street started traveling all over the world. Fashion magazines from Paris, New York, and Tokyo echoed this new trend that challenged everything traditional. Suddenly, the miniskirt wasn't just a London fashion. It was a symbol of youth and female liberation worldwide. Girls everywhere wanted to feel that freedom on their legs. They wanted to express their modernity and young spirit with a garment that broke away from the long and restrictive skirts of the past. Mary Quant became an international sensation. Her interviews appeared in every magazine. Her designs were copied, sometimes with more enthusiasm than talent, all over the planet, and her name was automatically linked to the miniskirt revolution. She traveled the world, giving talks and presenting her collections, always with her energetic style and clear vision for the future of fashion. One funny anecdote from this time was when Mary visited the United States for the first time. On a television show, the host, a high society lady with a very classic style, asked her in a slightly condescending tone if she didn't think her skirts were a little bit short. Mary, with her usual quick wit, smiled and replied, "It depends on how long your legs are, dear." The audience burst into applause. However, international fame also brought new challenges and pressures. Mary had to stay creative and keep innovating to avoid being left behind in a fashion world that changes at lightning speed. Competition became fierce, and many other brands tried to jump on the miniskirt bandwagon, sometimes shamelessly copying her ideas. Furthermore, large-scale production on a global level presented huge logistical complications. Coordinating manufacturing in different countries, ensuring the quality of materials, and managing global distribution were much more complex tasks than running a small boutique in London. Mary had to surround herself with a team of expert professionals in different areas to cope with this exponential growth. Despite the challenges, Mary's energy and passion for fashion remained her main driving force. She saw the miniskirt as more than just a piece of clothing. It was a symbol of a new era, of a youth taking control of their own style, and of a woman feeling freer and more self-confident. The miniskirt became a cultural phenomenon, going beyond fashion to influence music, film, and society in general. Rock stars and movie actresses wore it with pride, turning it into an icon of pop culture. Mary Quant's small creation had conquered the world, and its impact would be felt for decades to come.
Nouns. Roller coaster.
Montaña rusa.
Twinkle.
Destello.
Appeal.
Atractivo.
Footsteps.
Huellas. Pasos.
Trailblazer.
Pionera.
Boldness.
Valentía.
Adjectives. Playful.
Juguetón. Divertido.
Undeniable.
Innegable.
Heartwarming.
Conmovedor.
Tailored.
Entallado. A medida.
Day to day.
Cotidiano. Diario.
Vintage.
Retro.
Verbs. Paved.
Abrió camino.
Stepped away.
Se retiró.
Remained.
Permaneció.
Approached.
Se acercó.
Faced.
Enfrentó.
Promote.
Promocionar.
Adverbs. Truly.
Verdaderamente.
Yet.
Sin embargo. Aún.
Although.
Aunque.
Sometimes.
A veces.
Always.
Siempre.
About.
Acerca de.
Chapter 4. Lasting Hemline. Decades passed, and fashion trends came and went like hemlines on a roller coaster. Long skirts, midi skirts, maxi dresses, they all had their moment in the spotlight. Yet, the miniskirt never truly disappeared. It might have taken a backseat sometimes, but it always found its way back into wardrobes, reinvented and restyled for new generations. Mary Quant's creation had become a timeless classic. It was no longer just a symbol of the rebellious youth of the 60s. It had evolved into a versatile piece that could be dressed up or down, worn by women of all ages and styles. From casual denim minis to elegant tailored versions, the miniskirt proved its staying power. Mary herself continued to be a force in the fashion world for many years. She expanded her brand to include cosmetics and homeware, always with that same innovative and playful spirit that defined her early work. Although she eventually stepped away from the day-to-day running of a fashion empire, her influence remained undeniable. One heartwarming anecdote from later in her life was when a young fashion student approached Mary after a talk. The student, who was wearing a vintage miniskirt, told Mary how much her design had inspired her and how it still felt modern and empowering. Mary, with a twinkle in her eye, simply replied, "Fashion is about living, isn't it?" Of course, the miniskirt wasn't without its controversies over the years. Debates about its appropriateness and its connection to female empowerment continued in different forms. Yet, its fundamental appeal, its sense of freedom, youthfulness, and a touch of rebellion, endured. The problems Mary faced in the early days, the skepticism, the copying, the logistical challenges, paved the way for a greater understanding of the business side of fashion and the importance of protecting intellectual property. Her determination to see her vision through, despite the obstacles, became an inspiration for many young designers who followed in her footsteps. Mary Quant's impact on fashion is immeasurable. She democratized style, making it more accessible and fun for young people. She challenged traditional notions of femininity and empowered women to express themselves through their clothing. The miniskirt was more than just a skirt. It was a statement. As we close the chapter on our story, we remember Mary Quant not just as the inventor of the miniskirt, but as a visionary, a trailblazer, and a true icon. Her short and sweet idea had a long and powerful impact on the world. Her legacy continues to inspire creativity, boldness, and the joy of fashion.
Si te ha gustado el vídeo, suscríbete y dadle a la campanita. Nos vemos en el siguiente vídeo.